digital innovations for a better future. We'd like to welcome to the stage Alan Bebchik, Country Manager US for Nowports, the territories Mexico and the United States of America. Please make him welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me here. My name is Alan Bebchik. I'm the country manager at Nowports in the USA. And I promise, I know there's been a lot of talk about AI and artificial intelligence in this conference. This is the only time I'm going to mention AI. So there's no AI in this presentation. So for the one of you that don't know about Nowports, we're a digital freight forwarder. We're based in Monterrey, Mexico. And we are the first unicorn out of Monterrey. So I'm super honored to be here today to tell you more about supply chain and logistics. And thank you, the IDB, for having me here as well. So let me start by giving some context. Let's see if I can go to the next slide. There we go. Let me start by giving some context on COVID-19 and the pandemic. I think we can all agree that the pandemic really accelerated digital adoption in the industry. So we were in lockdown, everyone had to work from home. So that meant we had to adopt new technologies, new platforms, and that really accelerated digitalization. However, at the same time, that showed how fragile our supply chain is. Let me give you some context for the ones that don't work in logistics of what happened in the industry. Before the pandemic, to move a container from China to the US, it cost about $2,000. Fast forward, at the height of the pandemic, that same container cost $23,000. So it was a 10x increase on how much a container would move from China to the US. At the same time, we had tremendous logistics bottlenecks. There was a shortage of suppliers, of components. There were congestions at the port. It took, at the height of the pandemic, 140 days for a port to be unloaded in the port of Long Beach. So that meant that we had to look for different options of how can we source our materials. And this is the opportunity for the region and for Latin America. So if we start looking at the global supply chain ecosystem, we have China. China is in a trade war with the US. It's been for a few years now. And we see the trend already. Before the pandemic, about 45% of containers were moved from China to the US. Now that's down at about 35%. We also look at Europe, another big trading partner. There was Brexit. There's a war between Russia and Ukraine. So that region is also not at its highest. So Latin America, the region, can contribute to the global economy and the fight against inflation by taking a more active role in global supply chains in a way that's sustainable and equitable. So this is a massive opportunity for us in Latin America and the Caribbean. So how can we seize this opportunity? How can we take full advantage? It's through technology, what we call logistics 4.0. And I think as consumers, we're used to technology. For example, we can be home, we take our phone, we can call an Uber, a car to pick us up. We know exactly where this car is. We know exactly how much it's going to cost. We know exactly how much that's going to take. So as consumers, we think that's the status quo. But this is not how things work in supply chain and logistics. It's a very archaic industry, and that's what we're trying to disrupt at Nowports. I'll give you a few examples. With Internet of Things, how can we provide better traceability and trackability of the cargo? If you're booking a cargo movement today, you're sending emails back and forth to ask where the container is. At Nowports, you can access our digital platform and you can see live exactly where your containers are. This is a massive improvement in the industry. Another opportunity is with automation. If you need to make a quote for ocean freight, you're sending emails back and forth. There's hundreds of emails to confirm a booking. With a digital platform, you can access, you can quote on the spot, and within seconds you have your quote. So there's a lot of efficiencies. Same with blockchain and smart contracts. Believe it or not, when there's a booking confirmed today in the industry, the steam shipping lane sometimes sends you a telex. The first time I heard about a telex, I had no idea what a telex was. I had to go to Google to see what is a telex. It's a fax. So today, there's containers worth hundreds of thousands of dollars that they're being confirmed via fax. So we can bring blockchain to improve that. And of course, with big data analytics, we can better route the cargo, make it more efficient. And with cloud computing, we can give access to everyone to this information from anywhere in the world. So why is digital transformation important? One, it boosts productivity, it makes us more efficiency. Also, it improves public services, but I think most importantly, it creates jobs. Creates new jobs, high-paying jobs, jobs that can give people living wages, and that's what we want. However, I think in the region, there are many challenges for us to fully embrace being digital. What are some of the challenges? One is providing universal internet access for everyone. If we see how developed countries are doing in terms of access to the internet, about 84% have access to the internet compared to 68% to Latin America and the Caribbean. So we need to do better. We need to be leading that access to the internet. And then when we look at that divide, how that's between the poorest and the richest, there's a 40 percentage point difference. 75% of the richest population have access to the internet, while 37% of the poorest. So we need to close that divide. And the other challenge is that about 20% of jobs might go automation. And it's a challenge, but it's also a massive opportunity. Is how can we let go of low-skill jobs that can be automated and replace those for higher paying jobs. So I think what this means is nearshoring is happening. So supply chain from Asia is now coming here to the region, but nearshoring is still in the early innings. We're now seeing the tip of the iceberg. So now is when we start to hear the headlines. What are some of the headlines? Tesla, for example, is investing $1 billion to build a gigafactory in Monterrey, Mexico. There's only a handful in the world. There's in the US, Germany, China. Now there's going to be one in Mexico in our region. And that's amazing, but it's going to take time. Why? Because first you need permitting, then you need to start building the factory, you need to have the right infrastructure, the roads, the energy, the water. You need to build the vendor ecosystem. You need to start building components and materials to the factory. And then you need workers. You need to train these workers. So nearshoring is here, it's happening, but it's going to take some time. But nearshoring could add an annual $78 billion in additional exports of goods and services in Latin America and the Caribbean. So how do we make nearshoring successful? What's the nearshoring formula? We need three things. The first is investment. We need capital investments. We need government to have friendly policies so foreign investment can come to our countries in the region. IDB estimates that for every dollar invested in the investments, there's $42 that trickle down from foreign investments. We also need better infrastructure. If we want the supply chain from the world to come to Latin America, we need to improve our seaports. We need to improve our roads. We need to improve our airports. We need to improve our rails. So we need to invest in infrastructure. And the last thing we need is integration. We need to act as one region. We're all, like I like to call it, hermanos latinoamericanos. So we need to act as one region, Latin America and the Caribbean, all really embracing this opportunity. And who's leading the pack today? Who can we learn on this nearshoring trend? It's Mexico. And many people say Mexico is the new China. I don't think Mexico is the new China. Mexico is better than China. Why? Because Mexico, first of all, is opening the doors of nearshoring for the whole region. When we look at at how long it takes to move a container from China, it takes 3 to 4 weeks. In Mexico, it takes 3 days. You load a truck from your warehouse, you drive, you cross the border through Laredo or McAllen, and in 3 days you move goods. So companies want more control of their supply chain, and with Mexico we can do that. The other misconception is that China or Southeast Asia is a low-cost manufacturing provider. That's not the case. In China today, the average manufacturing job is about $6.50. Compare that to Mexico, it's about $4.80. So in Mexico, is cheaper, is faster, and it's also in the same time zone as the US. So we need to replicate that throughout the region. And this is happening. This is not only headlines. American companies are expected to reshore or already reshore 350,000 jobs last year. That's up from 2021. In 2021, there were 260,000 jobs that were reshored from American companies. And this trend will only continue to accelerate. And these are manufacturing jobs in automobile, in components, in retail, in electronics. So we need to continue this trajectory. So I think as a region, we have a tremendous opportunity. Supply chain is moving from Asia to Latin America and the Caribbean, so we need to embrace this. How can we embrace it? We need to digitalize. We need to invest in our people. We need to really seize this opportunity to grow as a region, and that's what we're trying to do here at Nowports. At Nowports, our goal is to be the logistics backbone in emerging markets, because when you help logistics, when you help supply chain, you foster economic development. And we want to help, and I want to help. I want to be part of this transformation. So here's my contact information. Here's my email. You can add me on LinkedIn, and I hope that as a region, we can continue improving and digitizing our supply chain. Thank you.